What's good, baby?
Not too much, my baby. What's good with you?
I had a great day today.
Did you?
Yeah, and I didn't get to tell you really about it.
You
I
haven't
saved it
told
for
me that.
this.
You said that you were going to save it for the conversation, so I'm excited for that. Is your phone on?
Yeah, because at work today and tomorrow, the doctors brought in a consultant. Her name is Terry Ross, and she has been in this field for 20 years, plus years, and she's basically a consultant. I was going to answer that. She's a consultant for aesthetic medical practices.
Okay.
So she started out as like a med rep, like selling like radiation prostate pieces, like back in like out of college, like in her early 20s.
Radiation prostate pieces?
Yeah, like that would go in. It was like a medical device sales. And she has basically built herself up in the world of aesthetics.
Okay.
And she, like, again, started with like that type of sales. Then she went into like skincare. Then she went into injectables, all these types of sales. And these surgeons in Beverly Hills basically were like, you're fantastic at sales. Our practice is struggling. We want you to come in and be like a consultant for us. Tell us what we're doing wrong. We're trying to build out our med spa. Now, again, this is like 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And she is now travels all over the world. She has like people in like Africa that have like med spas and medical practices and aesthetic practices that she goes in and does consultations with to basically say like, these are your areas of weakness. This is what you need to be working on.
Okay.
So like any other thing we've had like come, or any other person we've had come into the office, we've had the Ritz-Carlton training.
Yep.
And that was all about like, you know, the fluffiness and customer experience and...
That was about customer service.
Customer service. Like, yeah, you were there for a bit.
A 5-star customer experience.
Yeah. And like...
I was welcome to... I was, I guess, like, invited to join in on the Ritz-Carlton consultant, which, like, was definitely pretty helpful. But you're right. It was, like, a lot of, like... I guess, like, I wouldn't say fluff, but it was a lot of just... It was more like common sense than anything. Like, you should know how to take care of somebody, but you kind of put it in, like, a more systematic process for the most part.
Yeah.
But this sounds cool.
So again, her background is all business. So this is essentially all about sales. Her thing is, like, closing the deal. It was, like, an intense, like, 8 hours. We took a break for, like, 40 minutes for a lunch. Like, people could get up and go to the bathroom if they wanted to. You would have loved this woman. But what was the best part for me was she was, one of her lines, like, you would have died. She was like, well, you need to figure out, like, how committed is this person to the sale?
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah.
She is so fucking awesome. She's like, how committed are they to the sale? And basically what you're doing is, she calls it the layer. You listen to them. Okay.
Consultants love acronyms.
Oh yeah. You acknowledge what they say. So they say like, oh, well, my concern is safety and this is why I'm coming to you, blah, 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 blah. So you acknowledge that, you listen for it.
Yep.
You then explain like where you're coming from and what you can do to provide for them.
Layer?
Yeah, she's layer.
L-A-E-R?
L-A-E-R, yeah.
Okay.
And then R is you give them the resolution. I know. It's like, I know. But then you give them the resolution and like what you can provide. Because like the sales...
I'm also going to say, from a sales perspective, to me, common sense with an unnecessary acronym, just like I was saying about the customer service training, just to be clear. But that is true. That is what you should do.
Yeah, that's exactly what you should do. And so the resolution, you give them what they want, and then they say, okay, well, I'm going to like go and look at somebody else. And you can say, well, why are you going to go look at somebody else? You said your number one concern was safety, and we have all these safety things in place, blah, 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 blah. Like, you basically are taking what they said to you. And like, I was sitting there, I was like, I know all these things because of Jared. Yeah. Like, I was like a student, like raising my hand and being like so involved because I knew like how to do the sale.
I call it eliminating variables, where you basically you have to box them into a corner from the outset. So I guess we're doing another sales conversation.
I know, but it was just so good. I was probably I've never been in like a sales coaching environment. So it was like really fun to be in.
You ask questions and there's one of two things that they can do. They can tell you what they think you want to hear, which is that they're agreeing with you, or they could tell you the truth, which is that they have an objection. So I'm like, when you say like, does this all make sense? Does this solve your problem? Do you have any questions? They oftentimes will just say yes, yes, yes. And what they're doing is they're boxing themselves into a corner by saying that. If you have an objection, if you have a question, say it. Because if you're telling me that you don't and that everything makes sense, well, then I'm taking that at face value.
Right.
And when we get to the end of this conversation, I'm going to say, I'm going to say at the beginning, if this all makes sense, if you agree with everything that I'm saying, if this solves your problem, are we good to move forward? So I've already closed you from the beginning. If you agree that this makes sense to you, this way at the end, like if you've said every step of the way that this makes sense and that it solves your problems and that it's something that's going to benefit you, then when I get to the end and I go, okay, let's sign up, you can't go, I'm not so sure. Because it's like, okay, well, what are you not sure about? You said that you didn't have questions or issues. So if you're in a sales conversation, ask the questions, ask the objections. Anyway,
that's exactly what she said. It's like we're not like prying enough like in conversation, and we're not asking enough questions and going super deep to then figure out like, why is the person calling? And she's like, you're selling emotions.
Yep.
How does this person want to feel?
Yep.
And so you're selling that.
Yep.
And it was very funny because it's a room of like, I mean, the coordinators are obviously like in a sales role, but you're still like tiptoeing around like these, you don't want to talk and be pushy and salesy, but like if you're coming at it in a like, I'm going to show you what I can provide for you and the value I can provide for you, and like give you exactly what you need and what you're looking for, then it shouldn't be salesy and pushy. It's like, I'm giving you exactly what you're asking for.
And that's the point, is like, you should never be convincing anybody of anything. You should simply be educating them. And it should be
she literally said, she's like, you as a salesperson, you're an educator.
Yeah. You should be educating them as to how you're going to help them get what they purportedly said that they want at the beginning of the conversation. But the key is that you have to get them talking too. You have to get them to tell you what they're looking for. Because if you don't know what they're looking for, then you're just like pitching at them. And that is salesy. But if they tell you they're looking for something, you're giving them what they say they're looking for. At the end, they are going to have questions. They are going to have objections, but you have all the momentum in your favor at this point because they have agreed with you every step of the way. So they're going to have questions and objections. Each of those are what I refer to as variables. Like, basically, I'll say to them, okay, so why aren't we moving forward? Well, I'm not moving forward because I'm not sure that this is going to like solve for my safety, for example. I'm like, okay, so if I can demonstrate that this solves for your safety issue, then we're going to move forward.
Yeah.
That's how I start the process. Will we move forward if I can demonstrate this solves for your safety issue? They'll say yes. I'll explain and educate them as to how it's going to solve for that. Once again, it's not convincing them. It's not salesy. It's educating them because they've said that they want this. One of the biggest things that I always say in sales, and if you understand this, you understand sales, is if you get them to admit what they're looking for, then you're never pushing them to do something they don't want to do. You're helping them get something that they want.
Exactly.
If you can understand that, then you understand sales. Okay. So what we'll do is I'll say, if I can solve for this problem, if I can solve for X, will we move forward? That X is the variable. They'll say yes. We'll go through. I'll make sure, does that make sense? Does this solve for your problem? Are there any additional questions? They'll say no. I'll say, okay, well then let's move forward with those next steps.
Yeah.
Inevitably, in most cases, they're going to have another variable. You go right back through that exact same process. I'll usually by the second time, I'll be like, you said that if we solve for these two things that we're good to go. So let's be honest here. Let's get to like these real underlying objections. So that's like my sales stuff.
Yeah. So we have a whole nother.
Am I overwhelming with like all this information? Or are you excited?
No, because I'm like so excited because it was so cool. And then like, I mean, everything she was talking about, and we have an entire day of it tomorrow too.
Oh,
and
really?
It was, yeah. And like, we have a binder that we're going home with that's like this thick. It's like her slide deck. But it's everything that like listening to her, like you can just apply it to like every aspect in your life,
really.
Sales, because you just, like you really can. So like I have definitely some like pearls from it to like take into like as I'm transitioning and as we're doing like the couples coaching together to like those conversations with our clients. She recommended, and because again, value her opinion just because of how knowledgeable, confident, really inspiring as she was speaking, and very engaging and helpful. She recommended a book. Someone Has to Be the Most Expensive. Why Not Make It You? And I like instantly bought it because I was like, yeah, like because it is like in especially like this coaching world too. Like you have to like show your value and you like have people like understand.
You should understand your own value. And
exactly.
That's how you charge
so like,
for it.
yeah, exactly. Like she used like, I can't remember what word she used, but it's basically like you have to have like your own, like value yourself, know your worth. And then of course, like if you demonstrate that, people are going to follow you and pay for that.
Right. Hell yeah.
So it was awesome.
Cool stuff.
I had a great day.
Any other really cool pearls or like pieces from it? Because like, that sounds so sick. I love that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff.
Basically, God, I mean, there was a lot. It was like a lot to digest. And tomorrow is going to be breaking down like consultations. Basically, she said like one patient, because typical phone call for like the front desk is a patient calls in and they're like, hey, I'm calling. What's the price of a breast augmentation? Like that is, or like, you know, they always want price. And she's basically like, you do not give price over phone.
No.
But like a lot of people, like that's like what they've been trained to do is give ballparks or give this.
Value,
so it's
value, and then you get the price.
Exactly. So it's like,
you have
okay.
to earn the price.
Yeah. So it's basically training, like, or untraining the way they've been trained for so long.
Yeah.
For us as like the nurses in the rooms, we haven't gotten to that piece yet. That's going to be tomorrow with like consultations. But I know we probably, but it's going to be.
No, this is great.
Okay.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So it's really just a fun thing to do because it's always been so like lovey and fluffy and customer servicey.
And you've never probably done a sales training ever.
Exactly.
Except for me, maybe. Like,
no, I'm not kidding. Like I've never been in a sales training, and to be around like a woman like this, and I mean, she has made these aesthetic practices like all over the place, like all over the country, very, very successful, taking them from like red to like the top. And so it's really cool to be in her presence. She's awesome.
You want a cool sales acronym?
What's that?
Sales is dope. Never ever stop selling. It spells sadness. I can't take credit for that. The corporate bro. That's like one of his like things. But sales is dope.
Yeah.
And that is cool. And I'm like actually pretty thrilled.
And like, I'll have like the binder and I'll like bring it home to like look through and just again apply it to our couples coaching
I can talk
stuff.
sales, psychology, and sales philosophy forever.
You would love this woman. I was sitting in it today and I was like, fuck, like I wish Jared was at this one because you'd be.
Well, I'll say this, like, this is taking this off topic. First off, let me say, really cool opening topic. Normally during the podcast, we kind of like just do a recap of our week, which we will.
Yeah.
But like I normally, in terms of topics on the podcast, like I usually know what we're going to kind of talk about there. We meander and we expand on it. But this was cool. That was a cool like little
surprise
fire starter because you got me fired up. And one of the things I was going to say is like I've been saying, I know way too many people right now who are looking for jobs. Way too many. And like a lot of those are for sales jobs or like sales like jobs. And like I've interviewed hundreds at least, I would say, people for sales interviews, maybe thousands, probably not thousands, but definitely hundreds. I've certainly been involved in like probably hiring at least 100 people. Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it has been like upwards of 4 digits in terms of people I've interviewed. And because there's so many people out there that are interviewing, the market, of course, is like really, really rough. And interviewing, like you said, like sales is life in a lot of ways. Like you're constantly selling yourself. I know I'm constantly selling myself, especially like with what I'm doing now. And interviewing especially is selling yourself. And there's been a few folks who I've helped with the job application process, and more recently I've helped one person like very intensely over the last couple weeks with her job interview skills. And the bottom line is like it comes down to like knowing what you're talking about and not just trying to like solve the other, like just answer whatever you think the other person like wants to hear. Because if you're answering what the other person wants to hear, then like you're never really like finding a core philosophy or a core story that you're coming back to. And just like with a product, like you should be able to tell a story about the product that you're selling. Like if you're selling yourself, like you should have a core story for yourself. So like I've been doing that the last couple weeks with a few people, and like helping them with their interview skills, which again are very much like sales skills. It's almost one and the same. So like I could see myself like incorporating
for sure
interview skill coaching and like sales coaching into my repertoire. Maybe not immediately, but definitely like in the long term, because like those are two things that I really dig. I really have a lot of fun with. Yeah. Cool.
So that was my
Awesome.
day.
Really cool.
I had a really
Good
great
stuff.
day. But yeah, I guess as we do like our updates,
Sure.
I think we should definitely talk about last week.
It's been a couple weeks since the last podcast.
Yeah. And it was an interesting week because it started off great, and then some like weird things happened towards like the middle and the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we start off with the photo shoot.
Yeah. Okay. So that was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did a photo shoot for, basically for our websites, essentially. They're going to be, those photos are going to be used in way more than just our websites, but initially, like that's what our goal was to get some really good content and images of us for our sites, for the Supernova site, for the True Fitness site, and we have at least, 100 or so photos that we can use as like promotional material, Instagram and social media content, and just basically use all over the place. So we did, there's 3 main components to our photo shoot that we did. The first one was at On It, which was like a, what do you want to call it? Fitness.
Fitness
shoot,
focused.
I guess, right? Fitness focused. A fitness shoot, which was like tons of fun. We got our friend Chance to shoot it for us. He did a great job.
So good.
He did a really good job. The photos came out incredible. So we had like a few hours at On It with a few costume changes where we did some stuff together. We did some stuff solo, inside, outside, some like functional fun stuff like box jumps, and we did some like barbell work, and they just came out so cool. Like we
shirtless
looked great.
ones.
Yeah, some shirtless ones. Some ones of like us being cute, some ones of us being intense. So tons of like really cool stuff there. And like On It is the coolest gym.
Oh my God, it's so
It's the coolest gym. It's the coolest environment. It's like the hardest working gym, and it looks great in
the
photos.
lighting, the equipment, everything is meant to be.
Yeah.
Photos are meant to be taken in there.
And plenty of photos were taken.
Yes.
There. I think he said that we took almost 4,000 pictures that day. Yeah. So that's like the fitness stuff. Then we came home, took a little bit of a break, got changed, got cleaned up, grabbed a new handful of costumes, and then we went out downtown in Austin.
Outfit changes.
Some costumes that we took down.
Are you getting in the Halloween spirit by calling it costumes?
We took downtown. We did some cool photos in the car.
Yes.
In the convertible, which looked really cool, really cute.
Oh, they look so good.
These were like our more like daytime cutesy photos, where we did again downtown. Where else were we? Over by Seahome a little bit. At one point we walked into a condominium that I'm not going to name. We walked into their lobby. It's a big, beautiful lobby with a lot of natural light coming in, and I was just like, you guys were like, we're gonna get kicked out of here. We can't take photos in here. I'm like, then they'll kick us out, like whatever. So we kind of like casually walked in and like sat down, and you and I were like posing, and Chance was like discreetly like taking pictures like from his lap basically, like while he was like sitting across from us.
And he's like, these photos are great.
And they looked, and it came out so good. But of course, like eventually, like the guy at the front desk who was on the phone came over. He's like, excuse me, are you waiting for a guest? And I was like, no, we're just snapping some pictures. He's like, I can't have you do that here. And I was like, understood. We'll be on our way. Thank you. And we just like got up and walked, and we got really good pictures as a result. Photos. It's like, why not try? What are they going to do? Like tell us to delete them? Like worst case scenario?
Yeah, exactly.
Call the police? I don't think so. And then we took some other really good ones over at the Long Center in front of the skyline. And all of them came out awesome. They're really good stuff. I'm really excited to like get them out there to the world, but we're holding off. We're gonna.
I know.
We're
I'm like, I
storing them
can't
all,
wait
and we're
to
gonna
put them out.
because like I want to make this. I want to know like when we're putting out content, like we're gonna be. I'm building potential energy right now that's going to be released all at once, rather than dripping it over time. Yeah. So that was awesome.
And then, did you have anything else to say on that?
Well, I was going to say that then we have like our third shoot.
Yes, which was supposed to be on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And that was going to be done at Pershing.
Yeah.
And that was going to be more of the sexy, intimate evening kind of shoot. So we were definitely dressed up, going to be more dressed up. And basically the Pershing was like, yeah, like you can take photos wherever you like.
And I don't know of like a sexier, moodier place to take photos like that. So we were supposed to do it on Tuesday. We had last Tuesday. We had to postpone it, so that'll happen next week. But I'm sure they're going to come out
they're gonna be
super sick, and I can't wait to see what those ones look like.
Yeah,
those are going to be the steamy ones. Super steamy.
So steamy. And then we had some birthdays.
A couple birthdays.
We did some rooftop yoga for one birthday, which was super nice.
Our friend Barbara Ann's birthday, which was like, what a nice way to spend a Wednesday evening.
And it was definitely a day that I came home to you and you're like, I am looking forward to like this yoga. Because it was just a way to just stretch and chill out from like the day.
Yeah.
And like I haven't done yoga in so long.
Why did I need it that day? Did I need it, or was I just like, hey, this is gonna?
No, I think your pussy was acting up a little bit.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think maybe my pussy was acting up a little bit that day. Not bad, not terrible.
Definitely not.
And not like in any like scary way or anything like what's happened a few months ago, but it was there was definitely like the tentacles were creeping up a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think maybe that is what I did. But like, hey, that yoga worked. Did a really beautiful hour-long session on a rooftop overlooking the city with a gorgeous view of the skyline.
Oh my
While the sun was setting, so like it started, it was light by the time we were done. It was dark and the moon was out, so that was really cool. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
And then Cece's birthday too, which was so much like that was one of the most fun nights like in a long time.
I haven't laughed like that hard.
I say that, but then 2 weeks ago we had a really fun Saturday night too. Like that was a great Saturday
I know,
night,
but like the amount of laughter I had on Saturday night.
Well, Jay was there, so of course there was like
God, it was
tons
of
laughter.
so good.
It was our friend Cece's birthday. It was a surprise party. We went to their new home that is beautiful. They did an awesome job there. Joe did such an amazing job with that backyard.
Yeah.
Cece showed up.
It was Xanadu
themed roller rink party. Yeah. So she showed up. We surprised her. She was shocked. We got in a party bus. We went to Wiggle Room for a little bit. Met up with some more people there. Headed out to the roller rink, which the roller rink is almost like not a torture device, but it's basically like almost a death trap.
I was going to say like something death related for sure.
A roller rink. I can't believe. There's
no waiver.
There's no waiver. There's no rules. You're basically just like strapping people to like these things that like you're like are impossible to stand on unless like you have some level of skill, and then you're just told to like go out to like this wood floor and just like spin in circles. There wasn't even rules to say like don't go in the opposite direction. You were literally just like pushed out to your own devices. People are falling all over the place, running into people.
You got taken out.
I got taken out. Like the only time I fell was when some dude was flying and T-boned me and like kind of sent me flying a little bit, like pretty aggressively. That was right at the beginning, and I was like out there. I was like, I don't know if I like roller skating, but I got into it.
Yeah, you did.
I was like actually like cruising out there for a while. I was maybe the fastest one out there.
Yeah. I mean,
I was definitely the fastest one out there.
Of the group.
Oh, of the group easily?
Yes.
I was one of the fastest. I wouldn't say I was the best.
Yeah.
Of everybody that was in the roller rink. But I was definitely maybe the fastest. No, other people were spinning and doing twirls. I wasn't trying that shit, but I was definitely going faster than them. Was I not?
You were. There was the guy that took you out was cruising.
He was cruising.
Like
he was doing a lot of like backward skating and stuff too.
Yeah, they gotta show off their skills on a Saturday night,
dude.
But yeah, it's dangerous. It's like it's adults only. People are drinking. People are high, or I'm sure of some sort.
There's nobody.
And
there's
no
like,
rules.
There's no like lifeguard.
No, there was a rep out there. There was. Yeah, he was like over in like the area where we were, because some of us did not skate. I did not skate. But yeah, there was like a guy in like a ref t-shirt, and then he would like go out to the ring like every couple.
Man, like, roller skating was kind of fun. Like I'm not embarrassed to admit that. I'm not embarrassed. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, and I'm really happy with how my learning curve was like pretty short.
Was amazing.
Yeah,
I was very impressed with your skill. But of course, you're an athlete, so duh.
I guess
of course.
I guess so. No, I'm not. It's not a matter of being an athlete. I just got into flow state. I was high. I was on mushrooms. I only had one tequila, which like I honestly didn't even want to drink.
Yeah.
I had that like an hour ahead of time. And I was just smooth out there, baby. I was enjoying myself. That was like a lot of fun, the roller skating thing. So, and I got our friend's dad high too, which was pretty cool. We were on the party bus.
God.
Our friend's parents were there. Actually, there was a couple parents that were there. All cool parents.
Yeah.
Not any lame parents, but our one friend's dad like kind of like jokingly made a little joke about like getting high. Yeah. He didn't know I had a vape pen in my pocket. I handed it over to him and taught him how to take a hit. I don't think he's been high in like maybe 30 or 40 years.
And he took a hit.
And he took a big hit. And it was, he had a fun night. He had a really fun night. It could have gone south, but he enjoyed himself. Yeah. He was chilling. It was great.
Yeah, we're on the party bus and I look over at him and he's like, "What are you looking at? Are you looking at my eyes?" And I was like, "Chill out. Like, you're good. No one's going to report you. Like, you're fine." But it was so fun.
It was it was such a fun night. Like tons of like true, like not just belly laughs, like doubled over.
I had tears running down my face.
It was really a great time. So happy birthday to Cece. Happy birthday to Barbara Ann. Mm-hmm. And then we came home and you immediately got sick. Like literally actually like on the drive home.
On the drive home. I was like quiet on the drive home. But I think, let's talk with your sickness, because I got sick because you were sick.
So it's funny that you brought up the pussy acting up. We're good. We can do another like 10 minutes of recap and then get into like the other stuff. Yeah. You joked about like my pussy acting up, which on Wednesday, like, it did a little
also,
bit.
If there are new people who view this and like don't go back to episodes and they're like, what does he mean by his pussy acting up?
I have a demon that lives inside of me. It's a giant kraken, so basically a giant octopus that I call Pussy. Mm-hmm. That is the thing that applies pressure to me when I want to get stuff done. Mm-hmm. And while it's a good demon in some ways, because it pushes me along to get the work done that I need to do, sometimes it acts a little too aggressively. It squeezes my intestines and it makes me have physical manifestations of anxiety that will cause me to feel bad. This has only happened a couple times, but when it happened, it was really bad. And on Wednesday, like I was nowhere near that point.
No, definitely not.
But I definitely felt the tentacles slightly. And then on Thursday, I went to On It. I had a fucking awesome leg day. Mm-hmm. An awesome leg day. Not only was it awesome because I was at On It, but it was just like in general, like I got to check out some new equipment and stuff. And
I know, it's always fun to do that.
Yeah, and it was like just enough people in there that there was a good energy, but quiet enough that I was really able to move from thing to thing. I had a great workout there. And then I had to go handle Airbnb stuff, of course, which always makes my pussy act up. I'll just say that. Airbnb stuff always makes my pussy act up. And I came home, and I was supposed to actually do a walk and talk to Jay. Mm-hmm. And I got home, and I was like, dude, I am beat. I need to, like, just sit on the couch for a minute. And the only other time where I ever felt like I needed to sit on the couch is when my pussy acted up. So But I like, if this felt like a little different, like I felt like run down, but like it was kind of going through my head. I was kind of like, am I having one of those right now? But I was talking to Jay and I was good. And even he was like, man, you sound like not
Like
great.
fatigued,
You sound
yeah.
fatigued. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like maybe I just had a big leg day and then I was like in the convertible in the heat. And I was like, maybe I'm just like beat from that, even though like that's not something that would normally bother me. And I spoke with him for like an hour, just like crashed out over here on the couch. And I got up and I started to like get ready for work. And again, like sitting on the couch and talking on the phone for an hour is like a weird thing for me to do.
Yeah.
And then within an hour, like I had like the chills and I was feeling all achy and I was supposed to get more work done. And I was kind of like, what happened? I think you probably were like leaving work and I was like, babe, like I do not feel good. Like I think I'm like coming down with something. So luckily I didn't have much work to get done that night, which was good. And I came down here, I put something on TV and you were going to an event, which I think we're about to discuss. And I passed out here for like 3 hours like on the couch. At like 7 o'clock at night, which again, that's not something that I typically do.
And like also for you not to take your walk. Like you do your walk every day.
I know. I couldn't take my walk with Jay. And then I went upstairs and I was like, I'll get my work done because I didn't have much to do. Yeah. During that 3 hours while you were at the event that you were at, I was like, I'll just go for my walk then. I'll do like an evening or nighttime one. Yeah. And like that wasn't happening. I was passed out like dead here. And my stomach was like queasy, but it wasn't really like nauseous. I didn't have diarrhea or anything. I didn't feel like throwing up, but I was definitely not hungry. And then you came home from your event, and then Saturday night. And, I'll also say, I woke up.
You had a fever that night.
I had a fever that night.
Came home and nursed you.
Yeah, I went to bed for like, between that nap and my night's sleep, I probably slept for like 11 hours or so. Woke up, still not feeling great. Had a slow start to my Friday, but I did like actually get a lot done on Friday, and I got a walk in. After my walk, I felt in the late afternoon, I felt a lot better. Yeah. And I was like alive and kicking at that point. Yeah. And then like it pretty much was done at that point. I worked out on Saturday pretty aggressively, and I was a little run down during that workout, but it was good. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool, this is over with.
Yeah, you thought it was a yogurt that you ate.
Yeah, well, that's because on Thursday morning, I was eating one of my favorite yogurts, a Siggy's yogurt. And as I was getting down to the bottom of the cup, there was like some blue there was some blue stuff in there that I don't normally see in my yogurt. And I was like, oh boy, is that mold? Like I figured maybe it was just some mold, and I was like, oh crap. But I also was like, blue cheese has blue stuff in it, so you eat that. So I was kind of like, I have a pretty strong stomach. I'm not going to worry too much about it. But I don't think that was actually what caused it.
I think you got a virus.
Maybe had some sort of a virus because, again, mine lasted less than 24 hours. Then we got home from the roller rink on Saturday night, and all of a sudden you started to come down with the aches and the chills.
Yeah, so on the way home, I was very quiet because I was like, oh man, my skin feels very sensitive right now. And like, also I was on mushrooms. So like, I was like, oh, maybe it's just that. And then I get into the house and I was like, no, like my back was hurting, my skin, like you went to like rub me to say like, oh, I'm sorry, you don't feel good. And like, you couldn't even touch me. Yeah. Everything hurt. I was freezing. I had the chills. I was so uncomfortable. I laid on the couch and like you got me toast ready and I felt so incompetent. Like typically like it was definitely like a struggle for me for like that 24 hours because it extended into Sunday. Like I woke up and I like put the coffee on and then like you got breakfast together, you got the dogs together. Like I hated the feeling of not being able to like be the caretaker and doing all the things, but you stepped up and you nursed
me. That's what I do, baby.
You stepped stepped into the nursing role and took care of me. And
because as we're going to discuss in a relationship, you both have to be your best versions of yourself. You both have to be strong because when I was down a few months ago, you helped me out. When you're sick and unable to move, I got to be able to step up, help you out while not sacrificing any of my responsibilities.
Yeah, for sure. And like Sunday, we did have to rearrange some things. Like we were going to go be meeting up with people and stuff like that.
We were supposed to play pickleball on Sunday, and I was actually like really looking forward to that. We were both really looking forward to it. We had to cancel on that.
Yeah, like I bought equipment for it. Like I was like ready to go. And like, so we had to reschedule that. But like I still so I slept the morning, and as quick as that, like the fever, chills, aches came on, by that afternoon on Sunday, that was gone. Like I didn't have that feeling anymore. So like I went to the grocery store, I did some meal prep, did some laundry. Like I got some stuff done. I got stuff for dinner that night and we cooked dinner. But like I got the GI upset from this thing.
That I didn't have.
That you didn't have. And like Sunday night into like Monday morning, I was up like every single hour and I had to go into work on Monday. And I pulled it together, drank plenty of electrolytes, was on my way to work and being like, okay, there's a bathroom at this gas station. There's a Starbucks there, like just in case, because I was like, how am I going to get to work? And I worked all day, went to the gym, did a light workout, came home. We still did our like all our things. And by Tuesday, like my energy has been back, and energy-wise, I've been fine. GI upset is still kind of there. But I was telling the girls at work this, and they're like, you've been not feeling well? Like, I don't understand. And I was like, the show must go on. Like, I have shit to get done. I have stuff to do. Like, I was down and out for like 24 hours where I needed Jared to like help me out and take care of me. But other than that, like, I got to push through this like little GI upset.
The get-to list gets done.
Yeah, for sure.
The get-to list gets
I crushed my plyos workout last night. And then we did an awesome walk, and I meal prepped last night. Yeah. But
here's the real issue with getting sick, and then we'll get into what the topic of the day is.
Yeah.
We had a really fun weekend 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
When we did the photo shoot. Mm-hmm. We had a really fun night out with friends that night, that Saturday.
Yeah.
That Sunday, we did some stuff. I can't even remember exactly, but we had like a ton of we had some fun, and we were like, I guess this is all to say, Wednesday, we were at a party, we came home, and then we had like some stuff to get done, so we didn't get anything done. Thursday, I got sick. Friday, I was sick. Saturday, you got sick, and you were sick up until like Monday, which means that we went like at least 6 or 7 days without having sex.
Oh, yeah.
At least 6 or 7 days, which doesn't typically happen.
No, not at all.
And like yesterday, like actually by like Monday, I was ready to kind of like lose it. But really by Sunday, I was ready to lose it. Yeah. And then Monday, you still were like not feeling great.
It was
So finally last night, we got to...
There was a sweet release.
There was a sweet release that I desperately needed. Like really, really bad. And I was even like I could feel like my T up, but also like my estrogen kind of high. I was
T is converting to estrogen.
Yeah, no, I was kind of like feeling like bloated and like tight and like not great. And then like today, I felt like
you were shredded at the gym.
Yeah, I felt like so good. So I really did need that like quite a bit.
I know.
And now we have to make up for it over the next 6 or 7 days.
That sounds
we got to get double in. You in?
I'm in.
Fuck yeah, let's go. Maybe when we're done here. Maybe. So that brings us to what we want to talk about next, because the only other event that you didn't talk about was on Thursday night.
So while Jared was sick.
Which it has nothing to do with sex, really, but it does have to do with relationships. Hold on,
Fix the shorts. Again. So I went to an event on Thursday to my friend Morgan's place with Julia. At Morgan's place, we're going to be hosting our retreat there this Saturday. And I was going there, one, to support Morgan because it's her place that she's promoting, artists, people coming in to speak, and, whether it's performance, music, their art, like actual physical art. So I want to obviously go to that space, and then also promoting and talking about numeric psychology and the retreat that we're doing there that Saturday, or next Saturday, or this upcoming Saturday.
It looks like a very fun, very cool event.
Yeah, so it's at the Catherine, is her space. And it was really cool because I was there and just mingling and talking with people. And
normally we would go to that kind of thing together, but like you were planning on going
with Julie. It was specific for that. So like, and like I'm fine in like a social setting like that. Like,
no, of course. That's not what I'm saying. I guess like this is a place, especially if you're going to be talking about Supernova Couples Coaching. Normally, like you and I would both be at a place like that.
Well, so that's what I went in talking, thinking I was just trying to talk numeric psychology and like what I do and who I am.
Yeah.
And people were talking to me, and Julia was like next to me at some of the conversations, but like probably by the second time I was talking with somebody and Julia was there, and the person was like, oh, like, you know, what's your name? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I'm a nurse. And what kind of nursing? Like that whole conversation that I've had thousands of times now in my life. She's like, well, she's also a coach, and her fantastic husband are couples coaches, and they coach couples together. And I was like, ooh, like in my head, I'm like, okay, like I got to turn this on. Like, here we go. And so like practicing a spiel and talking about it and talking about who we are and what we have to offer to people and what the programming looks like. So I had that conversation.
I've talked about this a lot, actually, but like I also talk about the business that I'm building a lot, and like True Fitness and Focus a lot, and I'm meeting a lot of new people, and I'm always kind of pitching, I guess for lack of a better term, or like honing my skill of pitching like, what Supernova is, but
like,
it's certainly
you're like
relatively
spiel and like
new
what
for
you're
you.
Gonna say, So then we get up at the end of the evening, and we're up there talking about the numeric psychology and the retreat and kind of our experience with it. And Julia, and this is like 20 to 30 people there, and Julia ends with like, oh, and Katelyn, by the way, has been in a relationship with her husband for 20 years, and they're fantastic people. And Katelyn and Jared are couples coaches, and they coach couples together. And she like looks at me, and like I was
good for her.
I know,
pushing you to do it
for sure, of course. And she like voice memoed me like later that night. She's like, I kept doing it just to be. She's like, you need to be like talking and doing.
Embody
like,
it.
You need
identify
to do this.
as that.
And so obviously, like, I'm not going to just like end that there. So I had I like off the dome, like I basically had to talk about Supernova and like what it was and what we do and what our goal is, who our clients are. And I was very proud of what I said. And I guess it resonated with people because that was at that point, like 10 o'clock at night, I was expecting to leave and I couldn't get out of the apartment. I had people coming up to me, talking to me about the program, talking about collaborations. We have a meeting with somebody next week to like wanting to like go in on stuff with us.
Meanwhile, I'm here passed out on this, on this couch.
I'm out here slinging deals. And I was like, wow, like this is really cool. And it's like also is a lot of fun to just talk about it. And the one guy was like, yeah, he's like, you're great, you're a nurse, but like this is what you need, like this is what you do.
Yeah. Like
you're taking your nursing and like applying it like and you're caring and loving and taking care of people to like this now. Like this is what you do.
Don't tell AG and DR that.
I won't. But I was like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And so it was really cool. And I came home like very energized about that, obviously, because it was like so much great energy from it. And I come home and you're passed out on the couch and I was like, ooh, like I was like, and you're like, no, tell me about it. And like my energy was like so here.
I'm like achy and have the chills and like feeling like absolute dog shit. And you're like screaming at me about like the conversations that you had.
Excited.
I know, and you should have been. And I was like, boo, I need you to just like turn it down a little bit.
You're like, stop yelling at me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I won't explain it. I'll talk to you tomorrow about it. And you're like, no, but I want to hear about it.
I want to hear about it. I just didn't want to hear about it quite so loud. At that point, at least.
But anyway.
So, we're talking about Supernova because in the last episode we talked about True Fitness and what that is and like what some of the philosophy is there. And we've done a ton of work over the last several months, because we kind of like announced that we were going to be doing couples coaching probably back in June or July on the podcast. It probably was released in July.
Yeah. Okay.
Even though the conversation may have been in June. And since that time, like, we've fleshed this out really considerably.
You've been working hard on it.
Very hard on it to make sure that we understand exactly what the coaching components are, how it's going to be branded, how it's going to look and feel, and like what exactly we're going to be offering, who we're going to be offering it to, what the results are, and I'm really proud of like a lot of the work that we did. You can go to supernovacouples.com. Supernova Couples Synergy Coaching is the name of the business, but the website is supernovacouples.com. It is live right now. Our photos from the photo shoot are not yet necessarily up on it yet. This is actually a temporary site for the time being until the full site is live in about a month. But you can get a sense of what we're going to be chatting about here.
Yeah, so I think let's start with like why did we develop and how did like Supernova Couples Synergy Coaching come to be?
And again, as all things do, it starts with the gym idea, right? Because when we had a lease for a gym, initially we were looking to form a open gym concept, like a Gold's, let's say, or like a Lifetime. Not that big, of course, or that fancy, but like a smaller version of that, a smaller local version of that. And then when we found out that the economics of that don't make a lot of sense, we pivoted. This was the first of many pivots, actually. Pivoted toward a class-based gym. And I was, as I typically am, I'm not comfortable with just doing the same thing as everybody else. I want it to be a little bit different. I want it to be, something that really speaks to me and resonates with me, as opposed to just like any other gym that does like metabolic conditioning classes. I wanted it to like stand out. And I couldn't quite put my finger on what specifically should be the focus of our gym. And that eventually became True Fitness and Focus. And the first true idea, no pun intended, the first real idea that I had was after we came back from Sedona. That was actually like a silly thing that I was like trying to figure out in Sedona, was like, what does this business look like? Like, what could be the idea for the business? And like, we've talked countless times on this episode. We've talked countless times. Joy's just like hacking up God knows what in the background. There was, I was trying to figure out, okay, like, what does this business look like? We've talked a lot about Sedona in the past and how that trip was like really transformative for a few reasons. And one of the things that like really struck me about Sedona was like, what are you looking at?
Nothing. I'm just looking at the screen.
Okay. Was that like I felt like, of course we've had a really strong relationship for a really long time, but like we really had a lot of like very intense, romantic, like connecting moments during that trip. Yeah. And it didn't quite strike me at the time, but the day I came home, I went on a walk, and within like 10 minutes of the walk, like it hit me where it's like, oh, we, if there's one thing that we know, it's relationships. Yeah. We started working out together specifically during COVID, and we always tell that story about how that was like the most important thing that we've ever done together, and how that really took our relationship to like another level.
For sure.
And I was like, there's no gyms that cater specifically to couples and have couples work out together. And that was never going to be the entire idea for the gym, but it was going to be a specific program that would allow us to stand out and like allow us to market ourselves in like a unique way. That's the way I saw it.
Yeah.
So that was like part of True Fitness and Focus was, we were going to have a lot of classes that were designed to help with like mental fitness as well as physical fitness, but we were going to have a couples programming specifically with special pricing for couples, special marketing for couples to get them in the door. You know what happened with the gym. If you don't, watch our other episodes. And when at the beginning of this year, when I started building out my programming for my coaching business, which again is still True Fitness and Focus, and it's one-on-one focused, I was kind of putting all of that together, and with that started this podcast. I guess the podcast is probably like one of the biggest indicators,
think so too.
right?
Yeah.
Where we realized the kind of the way that like not only the show itself, but also like our relationship resonated with people, and the types of conversations that people would have with us and questions that they would ask us. It was apparent that while they were interested in a lot of like the other mindfulness stuff and fitness stuff, etc., they really were interested in us and like our relationship specifically,
and how we handled certain situations, and the conversations we would have, the tools we used. Like people were saying they would like bringing that back to their relationship. And that was like eye-opening.
So that was where I had a light bulb go off and go, okay, well, maybe if that's something that that's clicking with people, and that's something that's resonating with people, well, the reality is like the stuff that I'm doing with True Fitness and Focus is not all that different from like what allows us to be successful. There's a few extra components, of course, to like our relationship and how we've managed to accomplish everything that we've accomplished between us and outside of us. But really, it's kind of just like the same basic stuff individually that we've been working on, that True Fitness and Focus focuses on. And I think together, we can coach couples to go from being good couples to great couples. And that's really what we want to do, is like help couples who feel like...
So like that's would be then like the client, like who is our client that we would be looking for?
So it's like the way it's framed on the website, for example, is like we want to help couples step into their full power as a couple. It also says like your relationship is firmly rooted. Now it's time to grow. So these are for couples who they have a foundation built. They love each other. It's clear that there's connection there. There's cohesion. There's even like a certain level of shared interests. They got the juice to make something happen, but maybe they don't exactly know how to take their relationship to the next level. Maybe they feel like things have gotten stagnant in terms of their intimacy, their sex life, in terms of the growth that they've experienced like individually and as a couple. Maybe they feel like, you know, things are good, but maybe they're not as good as they were at the outset of the relationship, which
like now
is
life
common.
is happening. Exactly. You kind of get like stagnant, and you're just like, okay, well, we're good, we're happy, we're content,
and you just become
and don't want to rock the boat. Don't want
just
to change anything,
and you just become like used to that. That sort of like sleepwalking state, that like steady state of like, hey, we go out on a date every once in a while. You know, once a month we feel like a certain like passionate spark between the two of us, even though like day to day things are just okay. And I like to say like this is not couples counseling. Couples counseling is for people who are in a bad state and they need to get to like a decent state, like a baseline. The way I've been framing it is like if you guys are arguing about who does the dishes, like probably not for us. Now that doesn't mean that that's not something we could help with, but like if that's really the problem that you're looking to solve for, like just looking to like completely like stop fighting so much, you probably want like more of a couples counseling. What we're trying to do is coach you. Like think of it as like relationship performance, where we want to help you. So I guess I'll just go into like the 3 buckets, and like the 3 pieces of the programming. So for True Fitness and Focus, I like to say I help you get fit and stay focused. Get fit is of course like the physical fitness part, and stay focused is the mindset programming and helping people have that presence, that perspective, and that purpose that they're chasing. So instead of get fit and stay focused, I was originally thinking that maybe Supernova, our 3 pillars could be get fit, fuck, and stay focused. But we also thought that maybe that wasn't exactly appropriate. So instead of get fit, fuck, and stay focused, we went with power, passion, purpose. Power, again, being each individual in the relationship having their own individual energy and health, physical fitness, making sure you're eating right, making sure you're working out effectively. I said it last week on like the True Fitness, during the True Fitness conversation, like you can't bring your best self to your day if you're not physically fit. If you're not physically healthy, you're not eating the right things. If you feel like shit physically, you're not
fueling your body.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to accomplish the things that like I want you to accomplish and that you want to accomplish with the rest of the program. You have to be physically fit first. So power is like each individual in the relationship is physically fit. Passion is now that each individual is in their optimal state, now we need to put those pieces together and create synergy between them. Synergy, what synergy means is that the output of something, the output of a reaction is greater than the sum of its parts. So that's exactly what a relationship is. It's like 1 + 1 = 3, only like in this case, 1 + 1 = like 10. And that 10 is like, love is the most powerful.
Sound like Terrence Howard now.
Yeah, it's true. But like, love is the most powerful force in the universe. There's countless people who have said that. Everybody from Einstein to John Lennon to Mother Teresa to Mahatma Gandhi, love is the most powerful force in the universe. That is unquestionable in my opinion. If you don't believe that, then like this isn't for you. But like love is. That starts with your own personal love. That's the power part. Then there's the love that you have for your partner. There's the love that you have for your relationship as a whole. There's a love that you have for your life that you've built for yourself. And then each individual has each of those pieces of love. So that's like, what was that? 4 things I just named. So that's like eight loving interactions happening at once. So 1 + 1, me and you, have like that much love that we're generating between the two of us. That is synergy, because we're outputting more than like just the simple sum of our parts if we were separate from one another. So that passion is creating that synergy between them, creating cohesion through collaboration, through communication. We help them like form passion projects and work together and collaborate effectively. But a lot of that is also about limiting conflict and limiting friction, because like 2 things can have a powerful reaction. 2 individuals can come together and form a powerful reaction, but like if there's a lot of conflict and a lot of friction, that reaction can be devastating in a negative way. It can be explosive. And I think there's a lot of relationships that are like that, where there's like so much chemistry, and a lot of times that's like passionate physical chemistry, but they don't know how to reduce the conflicts that also are occurring during that passion, and that results in like reactive, negative reactions that then like blow up in all kinds of directions for both parties and for the relationship as a whole. So that passion part is learning how to collaborate and communicate effectively while limiting conflict and friction. The third part, so we have power, we have passion, now we have purpose, is that third part, because once each individual is as optimized as possible, and now you both are working together as seamlessly and as effectively as possible, let's take all of that energy, all of that passion, and channel it in the direction of a singular purpose. That is where you really take your relationship to the next level. That's where real growth happens. That could be a child. That could be a particular project that you want to work on. It could be a business. Our friends who started their oyster business, like I think they're a perfect example of that. They both found their own physical health and their physical power. They came together. They did a lot of that together. They built incredible cohesion. And then they realized, like, you know what? Like, why are you doing this job that you don't love? Like, let's do the thing that you want to do. And only because they took care of themselves individually and they worked to build that strength together, were they able to like channel that energy in that direction. And
they both bring like their individual strengths to that project and to that purpose. Like, one does like the marketing and the sales, and the other is obviously like the cook and all of that piece. So
and like there's a lot to be said for like having shared purpose, most people don't even know what their individual purpose is, let alone getting two people on the same page about a purpose.
Yeah.
And a lot of like couples probably have a sense that like, oh yeah, we know what we want. We know what the life we want for each other. We both want a big house, and we both want a pool and a couple kids and a dog and maybe a nice car or whatever, like maybe a couple vacations a year. But like, that's not a purpose. I always say like your purpose is not to make money.
Yeah.
Or to have things. Like, that's not your purpose.
All those things can be taken away.
Exactly. And like, that's not a purpose, but also like, you might think that you guys have the same idea or the same vision, but if right now you're even like 1 degree off from one another in terms of what that vision is, as time goes on, that shared, quote unquote, shared vision becomes far, far more distant, and there's a massive gap. So what we have to do is not only find out what your vision is and what your purpose is for the relationship and together in your life, but then we have to make sure that you're both on the exact same page, where that those visions are completely in alignment right now, because it only becomes harder to bridge that gap as those visions diverge over time. And I think that that's why a lot of people start to get into that sleepwalking phase, is because the visions that they each had in the relationship slowly started to drift off further and further. That creates more conflict, that creates more divisiveness. And then eventually you're at a point where it's like, well, just like going through the motions here feels better. It feels safer. It feels easier. It feels more comfortable than solving this, or like bridging this huge gap that's between us. It doesn't feel like we need to break up, because there's not really like tons of resentment or tension or like explosive negativity, but we're still not like here on the same page, flowing in the same direction. And I think, like, quite frankly, anybody who knows us, they typically tell us, like, first off, we seem like incredibly cohesive. We always seem like we're on the same page. When we walk into a room, I think like people can sense that like there's real love and passion between us. We're not just like married by decree.
I had my one friend describe me or us in front of me to another person, saying that we would be like, we are people to listen to in relationships. And like, I don't want to like be saying this like to be bragging, but like she said this in front of me to somebody, that like we should be looked at as ideal for couples and go to as like a resource, because we are two individuals, but the moment you meet us and we're together, it's like you're meeting one soul. It's like one soul is wrapped around us.
Yeah. That's
like
sweet.
when we're two individual people and there's one, and she said that there's so much unity, cohesiveness, and it's just very like refreshing and loving to be around.
And with that being said, like, we're two very different people. We each have different skill sets. We each have different strengths. We have different weaknesses. We like in so many ways, like you and I are so even opposite from one another in some ways. Yet like that's another component of what we can help couples with, is like, let's stop like arguing over who does what. Let's make it abundantly clear, like, whose responsibilities are what, based on what their strengths are, and based on what people like to do versus or what the person likes to do versus like what they don't like to do. That makes things a lot easier. But, and this kind of gets into the next piece, is like, because of, you know, fear of looking sexist, or fear of like, I guess like promoting traditional gender roles. Like, the guy has to be doing stuff around the house that the woman would traditionally do, and the woman needs to take on a lot of like the masculine roles. And like, that is like, why are we doing that? If the guy doesn't like doing the feminine, and I'm not saying that a guy shouldn't or doesn't, but like, if he doesn't like washing the dishes or doing the laundry, then why should he be, if the woman is better or more efficient at it? I'm not saying that that's the case in every relationship.
Right. Like, we have friends who literally, it's like the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And like, he does all the groceries and the cooking and all that stuff for the house. And she takes care of like big projects.
Yeah.
And like they both, that's like their strengths, and their relationship is great.
Yeah.
And it works for them.
Yeah.
So it's not like it has to be like, no, the wife has to be in the kitchen with the apron. Like, no, you have to do what like you're strong in and efficient in.
But the problem is that like society has made it like you made it so that you feel like there has to be some sort of like mixing of the gender roles in order for a house to be like PC, I guess, enough. So again, I'm not saying that like you have to abide completely by gender role lines, but also like let's not overcomplicate things any more than they already have to be. Let's figure out what people are good at, what you like to do, and then like divide those accordingly. Let's use people's strengths for what they are. And generally, men are good at masculine tasks and women are good at feminine tasks in general.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't shy away from that. So like that's another thing that we're going to be able to help people with. Of course, like in general, in society, men are way too feminine, way too passive, way too kind of like walking on eggshells. Women are a little too masculine. They want to be a little bit more like directive and in charge. Again, nothing inherently wrong with that at times. However, like women want to be led generally. The man should be the leader in the relationship. The man should make the decisions. He should direct the life. I say a man should lead his wife through the life. A man should lead his wife through the life that she deserves. Right? Like a woman wants to be led by design. Like a woman wants to be told like, we're doing this, we're going to go and do that. You don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
We have this set up. I'm making the plans. You just get dressed and show up here, and like we're gonna have a good time.
And that's what so many people like, and I bet you like there's probably like quite a few females listening to this. Like, I don't want that. I don't want that.
Yeah,
like, you don't want to be
you do.
like taken care of and be like, okay, great. I don't have to think about what I'm gonna like do for dinner tonight or where I have to go. Like,
if that's the case, let your guard down, baby. For real, let your guard down. You want to be told what to do, and you want the man to make the decisions for you. But that's why when he goes, where do you want to eat? You go, I don't know. Because you want him to make the fucking decision. You want him to say, we're going here. I have reservations at this time. Let's go do it.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
And we don't have to think about anything.
And the guys out there, stop asking your wife where she wants to go.
Yeah, just set it up. Just fucking do it.
Just go for it. Just
like take the reins.
Be a man.
Like yeah, exactly. You're gonna get laid.
And,
you will.
And like what a man wants like love and support from his wife. A man wants to be told that like he's appreciated and that he's doing the things that need to be done for the woman to feel like happy in the relationship. And like, but again, too frequently, like, and women, there's a part of the process where they shit test the guy and like push on him and make sure, like kind of like test, like, are you as decisive as you're pretending to be or as you're claiming to be? Are you really that serious about this? And like, that's part of it. But there's also a part where like, it definitely becomes overbearing. It makes the man question the decisions that he's making. It makes him question himself. It becomes very burdensome on him and on the relationship. And if the man has to like constantly second guess himself because the woman is not being loving, not being supportive, and is really being like pressure testing too much, then he loses his desire to lead. He's just going to go, yeah, where do you want to go? Like, you're going to not be happy with it anyway. So I think like that's another thing. And you had a really great line.
My line is be his anchor, not his ball and chain.
Yeah.
Like that explains it perfectly.
Yep.
Because who the hell wants to be described as the ball and chain?
Yep.
Like,
but you do want to anchor him.
But you do want to anchor him. You want to be there and support him and ground him.
Yep.
When like he's having those like, because typically the male is like, has the worries of the providing and the support of the like the family and the lifestyle. Like he wants to know like what he's doing is appreciated and know that when things are getting chaotic and he's worried and this and that, like that he can come to you and find home and find that grounding and find that space to be like, you're fine. We're fine.
So, I think like that kind of speaks quite a bit to what we're looking to do. I don't know if there's any other questions or anything that we want to like really get to, but like,
I mean, yeah, we're a little over, but I mean, I think it's.
I'll just say like, so what it entails is there's the physical fitness component. That's the power, which will provide people with workout programs, dietary guidance, supplement guidance, etc. There's also the mindset programming, so we help people with their meditation, maintaining presence, perspective, with gratitude. Not as much on like the introspection side as much as with true fitness, but there's certainly plenty of that.
For sure.
So now, like again, now each individual is physically and mentally fit and healthy, and emotionally fit and healthy. There's the coaching calls, of course, that we're going to be doing with them. Most of the time, that'll be 2-on-2. I think that's also like a really differentiating factor for us. Is a lot of relationship coaches are like 1-on-2, or especially couples counseling. It's 1-on-2. With us, you get the male and the female perspective. You get 2 different coaching styles as well when you're working with us. And that means like we could do 2-on-2 sessions, but every once in a while, depending on the needs of the couple, I can meet with the man individually, you can meet with the woman individually, or maybe even like switch that if there's some reason to do so, which I'm sure there'll be plenty of reasons why we would. There's also, of course, like a community that we'll be building of like-minded couples who are like looking to become power couples or are power couples, looking to like really step into their power as a couple. And I think there's nothing like, more motivating and more that's going to help you like have that like true support structure that helps you get where you want to be than if you have like-minded folks around you. So there'll be that community that we'll be building as well of like our client base, and they'll be helping one another get to where they want to be and sharing stories and experiences and challenges and wins, of course. And then there's, again, passion projects, which is a really cool little extra boost that we have to help them build more cohesion. I guess I'm kind of drawing a blank. But I think one of the coolest things, and I'm not going to give all the details away right now, but if you're familiar with the idea of like 75 hard, it's a 75-day challenge that you do individually where you do a few things that are actually not all that hard if you ask me. Like 2 workouts a day of 20 minutes that can include a walk. Okay, like I do that every single day.
Like times 6.
You drink like a gallon of water a day. Okay, I drink like 2 gallons of water a day.
Okay.
You stick to a diet
you're like
and
hard.
you don't cheat. Okay, pretty easy. Like I don't remember what 75 hard is, but it's like a handful of like relatively easy things. But you got to do it for 75 days, and then you feel great at the end. We're gonna start a challenge for couples called 60 Synergy, which is a 60-day challenge where couples have to complete a handful of, I guess, like tasks or challenges. It's not really a challenge.
Yeah.
Over the course of...
We got to think of a better word for that.
Yeah, I guess like...
Because you don't want to call it like a task or a challenge.
It's not a task. It's not a challenge. It's like it's like an exercise. I guess like an exercise or something.
Yeah.
That they'll complete over the course of 60 days every day, and the goal is like by the end of that, you should have far more connection between the two of you. You should have far more a much better idea on how to like encourage one another, how to communicate, how to collaborate effectively, how to coach one another, provide like constructive feedback. You should have certainly built quite a bit of like passion and intimacy as well. And there's even a component that will allow you both to find like a shared vision for your future throughout the course of those 60 days. And you'll be having meaningful conversations about it along the way. The meaningful conversations are a byproduct of the challenges or tasks or whatever you want to call it that you'll have to perform over those 60 days. And like we believe that people will come out of those 2 months far more fit, far more focused, and definitely
far more fucked.
far more fucked for sure. Far more fucked, at least.
Far more fucked.
Yeah,
fucking more for sure. For sure.
So I'm really looking forward to like releasing the 60 Synergy Challenge and we'll probably create a community of people who are doing that as well, and it'll probably be like either free or like very cheap to be a part of like that community. And this way everybody can kind of like collaborate together and communicate. Whew, what else we got?
Fornicate.
And fornicate.
Well, I guess that's it.
Speaking of fornicate, it's 9:15. I have to shower, I have to eat, but maybe.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, then let's wrap this up, shall we?
We have like lots to make up.
Any final? Yeah, we have a lot of making up to do over last week.
Any final? No, I don't think so.
Cool.
I think that's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Sweet. See you, everybody. On the other side. Peace.